السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعزائي طلاب الصف السادس، بنرحب بكم في منصة البث المباشر لمحافظة الإسكندرية مادة اللغة الإنجليزية. Welcome our dear students, primary 6. Today we are going to have unit 6, taking care. Let's start. In this unit I will. احنا النهاردة هنتعلم ايه او هنستفاد ايه من اليونت ده؟ الobjectives بتاعتنا، الأهداف to listen and read and research about making things and home and how to take care of oneself. Taking care of oneself يعني الاهتمام بالنفس، ازاي نهتم بنفسنا. Talk about quantities، هنتكلم عن quantities. Find the meaning of the words. Learn about personal care in ancient Egypt. How to write an instruction and also countable and uncountable noun. Today we are going to talk about how can you take care of yourself. Think, نفكر كده how you can take care of yourself. You can take care by many ways. You can eat healthy food. You can sleep well. Have a good communication with your friends and family. And also being healthy, doing exercise, sport, and so on. Let's listen and read.
Unit 6, Lesson 1, Exercise 1. Listen and read. What do Layla and her mom make?
Hi, Layla. I love making things. Why don't we make something new?
That's a great idea. Do you have something in mind?
I have some perfume oil. We can use it to make candles.
Candles? Wow, I love it.
Here are the instructions. Can you read them out to me?
Right. First, we need some wax.
Here it is. It's palm wax from Egyptian palm trees. It makes really nice candles. How much do we need?
It says use 450 grams of wax to make 3 candles.
Okay. There's about 500 grams here. That's enough. What's next?
We need some perfume oil.
Here, these are little bottles of lemon oil. Mmm, they smell lovely. How much do we need?
The instructions say squeeze in about 40 drops of oil.
Fine. And we can take about 15 flowers and press them on the tops of the candles.
Yes, good idea. Then we need 1 glass for each candle and 1 wick. That's the little cotton rope inside the candle.
Oh, yes. And we need some popsicle sticks to hold the wicks up in the glasses.
So that's 3 glasses, 3 wicks, and 3 popsicle sticks, right? Now, what do we need to do first?
Let's see. Step 1. Heat the wax to melt it and stir well.
So, what did Layla and her mom make? They make candles. They decide to make candles. They use the wax, which is the material for making candles, and they use also some drops of perfume, and they use a wick. Wick is the little cotton rope inside the candle. Let's learn some new vocab. This is squeeze. To squeeze something, when you squeeze something, you get the juice from it. Stir, stir. When you put sugar in the tea, you stir it, stir it. Boil, boil, boil. when you put the water on the heat or on the cooker, it's getting the temperature up, so you are boiling water. Press, press. When you press on the button, candle wick, candle wicks. These are the candle wicks, the cotton rope inside the candles. These are candles. Instructions, instructions, how to do something when I'm telling you how to do something. Wax, the material that we can make candles from. Palm tree, palm tree. Perfume oil. Drops, drops. We have drops of water, drops of juice, drops of perfume. All liquids have drops. Popsicle sticks. These are the popsicle sticks. Heat, when you heat something, when you put it on fire. Melt, when we turn ice into water, this is melting. Listen and read. We are going to listen about what? We are going to listen about ancient Egyptians and how did they live, and important information about ancient Egyptians.
Lesson 2. Exercise 1. Listen and read about food in ancient Egypt. What did families use to make their cooking taste better?
Paintings from ancient Egyptians show that people at this time took care of their bodies and ate very well. So, what did the ancient Egyptians eat and drink? The water of the Nile has always helped Egyptian farmers to grow a lot of fruit and vegetables. At this time, the vegetables they could grow often depended on how much water came from the Nile floods. Ancient Egyptian farmers usually grew onions, garlic, lentils, and beans. And people cooked with all these vegetables. Farmers also grew wheat and barley. People used this to make bread, and they ate a lot of this every day. Most people in ancient Egypt only ate a little meat, usually at festivals. They probably ate a few fish, and birds like ducks, geese, and chickens. They also ate some eggs and cheese from cows or goats. There were a lot of bees in ancient Egypt, and that means there was honey. People often used honey with bread and cream to make cakes. They also used a few dates or figs to make sweet fruit drinks. Some families also knew how to use spices and herbs to make their cooking taste better. And they also knew how to preserve food. For example, they dried fish or used salt to preserve it, and used jars to keep fruit and vegetables for the winter.
So now we learned about what? How did the ancient Egyptians live? What did they eat and what did they drink? What did they do with fruits and vegetables? Let's learn more vocab. We have here festivals, festivals. In the text, we hear that they didn't eat a lot of meat. They only eat meat and chicken at the festivals. Depend on. إن إحنا to depend on نعتمد على إن هما كانوا depend on wheat and barley to make their bread. Okay? Nile floods. الفلود اللي هو الفيضان. إحنا كلنا عارفين إن في الهاي دام دلوقتي الهاي دام to prevent Nile floods. In the at the age of ancient Egyptians, في الوقت اللي كان فيه ancient Egyptians موجود كان فيه Nile floods. Onions. onions, garlic, wheat, barley. These are two types of plants. We can make flour from them to make bread. Geese, chicken, ducks, preserve, dried. Dried is an adjective. From what? Dried is an adjective from the verb dry. When we dry something, we get the liquids from it. Okay, تجفف الشيء means dry. Dried يعني مجفف. زي الفروتس اللي بناكلها في رمضان كده. In رمضان الفيجز والdates, they are dried fruits. We have jars. We keep food usually and jam and honey in jars. Now we are going to talk about what? We are going to talk about grammar. For the grammar today, we are going to talk about parts of speech. Parts of speech mean the type of speech. الwords اللي احنا بنتكلمها في الانجليش دي لها type. كل word وليها family بتنتمي ليها. Okay? We have some words which are nouns. And we have the verb noun like student, teacher, book, cat, dog. Identifies a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. Verb اللي هو الأكشن identifies an action or a state like run, read, write, listen, eat. We have the adjective. The adjective is a word to describe a noun or a pronoun. When I say good or bad, beautiful, short, sweet. Adverb to describe the verb, okay? Quickly, silently, well, soon, late, okay? These are interjections, short words to express some feelings. When I say great, hopes, oh, hi, conjunction, these words to connect two sentences or two statements. When I say and, because, or, until, and so. The main types for today, we want to differ between noun and verb and adjective. A noun is the name of a person or a place or a thing. The verb describes an action or a state of being. The adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. Now we are going to talk about what? We are going to talk about countable nouns and uncountable nouns. For nouns only, not verbs, we have two types. We have countable nouns and uncountable nouns. What are the countable nouns? Count يعني عد, okay? Countable means حاجة applicable أو إن هي available إن أنا أعمل لها counting, إن أنا أعدها. So it's countable. Countable noun can be counted individually. It has singular or plural. When I have plural nouns like two cars, 4 dogs, 7 brothers, 1 dog, a car, a brother. These are plural nouns. 4 dogs, brothers, coins, schools. So countable nouns have singular and plural. مفرد وبلورال اللي هو الجمع. Uncountable nouns. إيه بقى هي ال uncountable nouns؟ قال لي ال uncountable nouns دي this is something we can't count. Okay, can't be individually counted. And don't take an indefinite article like a or an. We can't put a or an in front of it. Wealthy, money, water, furniture, rice, music, love. كل الابستراكت nouns اللي هي الحاجات المعنوية uncountable. Okay? Now we have some quantifiers. What are quantifiers? هي شوية كلمات عندنا, some words. We use them to express or to talk about quantities, كميات. When I say little and few, both الاثنين معناهم small amount, كمية قليلة. But little, we use little with countable nouns or uncountable nouns, only with uncountable nouns. So little for uncountable nouns. Few, countable nouns. Should be followed by a plural noun. A lot of with both. We can use a lot of with countable noun and uncountable noun. A lot of can be used for countable noun and uncountable noun. Many is used for what? Many is used for countable only. When I say there are many students, much is used for uncountable nouns. Okay, much water, much oil, much love, much money. Any is used for both, but any goes with the negative or question. We have lots of, which is used for countable and uncountable, both. Some is used for both also, but in the affirmative form. Let's learn more about this. For how many and how much? We use how many to ask about quantities, countable things, like leaves, lemons, cars. So how many is usually followed by plural noun. How many is usually followed by plural noun. For how much, we use how much with uncountable nouns, quantities, okay? For quantities only. How much money, how much oil, how much water, and so on. How many lemons do we have for the lemonade? How much oil do we need? Okay.
Complete dialogue with how much or how many. Now we need to add how much or how many. Penny, milk do you want in your coffee, Grandma? He will ask how many or how much milk? Yes, how much milk, because milk is uncountable. Just a little milk. Thanks, Honey. Number 2. Farida. Students are there in your English class, Dahlia. There are about 40, I think. Students is countable noun and plural. So we should add what? The answer is how many? Sharif and Kareem. Math problems did you yesterday? Math problems. Problems here is plural noun. Okay? Math problems. So we will add what? Yes. How many math problems? How many math problems? Because we are talking with numbers, with plural noun. Just a few. They were difficult. I'm going to the market now. Tomatoes. Tomatoes we need? How many tomatoes do we need? Please get a kilo of tomato and some fruit, okay? How many kilos of tomatoes? If you are asking about tomatoes only, you can say, how much tomatoes do we need? How much honey do we have, Ayman? We have a lot. See the jar there. Now we are going to listen to a funny story called The Missing King. Let's listen.
3. Exercise 1. Listen and read. Why does the king leave his painting? The Missing King.
Peter lives in a big palace where his parents are the caretakers. The palace is old and no one lives there now. Peter likes to explore the rooms. They are full of interesting and precious things: old paintings, statues, carpets, and furniture. One day, Peter notices something strange about the big painting in the dining room. Usually, this colorful painting shows one of the old kings sitting on the throne with a crown on his head and a long scepter in his hand. The queen and the royal children, the prince and the princess, are next to him. But today, the king's place in the painting is empty. He is missing. Peter is surprised and looks carefully at the painting again. He can see the crown and scepter, but not the king. Also, the scepter is leaning dangerously over the princess's head. Peter knows he must find the king at once. He goes through all of the rooms in the palace. He looks behind doors and curtains. Finally, he comes to the royal bathroom. He hears singing and knocks on the door. "Who is it?" says the king. "Please be quiet. I'm enjoying a hot bath." Peter is astonished. When the king comes out, he says to him, "I spend years sitting in that painting, and no one ever comes to wash the dust off me. Dust damages the painting, so I simply had to have a bath." Peter understands, but explains to the king that his scepter is about to fall on the princess. "Thank you, my boy," the king says. "I will hurry back, but in the future, please clean the paintings in the palace. Otherwise, they'll be damaged forever." And he runs back to the painting to pick up the scepter. Peter now cleans all the paintings in the palace so that they aren't damaged, and so that no one has to leave their painting to have a good bath.
Okay. Let's go. What is the moral of the story? يعني ايه moral? What is the lesson? What do we learn from this story? ايه اللي احنا اتعلمناه from the story? The king said that we should take care of the paintings. We should remove the dust, okay? Dust damages the painting. So what is the moral? The moral here is it's very important to take care of our old statues, paintings, and monuments. We should keep them clean and take care of them. Now, let's learn more vocabulary for this lesson. A caretaker. His parents were the caretakers. Caretaker is a person who cleans and takes care of a place. Parents. Father and mother. When I say father and mother together, they are my parents. When I say my parents, I mean my father and my mother. The queen, the queen, the queen is the king's wife. Here is the king and the queen. The prince, the king's son. This is the prince. Princess is the king's daughter. Astonished. When we say that he was astonished, he was so surprised. Fall, to go down. Paintings. When we have drawings in the wall. Damaged, a path. Missing. We have here scepter. Scepter. This is the scepter which is going to fall on the princess. Palace. Crown. This is a crown. Now look at these things. What do we use them for, and when? We usually use these things every day. Okay. Soup. This is soup. Shampoo. Hairbrush. Toothpaste. Toothbrush. So we have two kinds of brushes. We have toothbrush and hairbrush. Perfumes. Deodorant. Now we are going to listen about what? About some products that ancient Egyptians made by themselves and how did they cared about themselves.
Ancient Egyptian traditions. Read the text. Which of the things from exercise 1 are mentioned? Personal care in the past. Many of the products we use today for personal care were first used in ancient Egypt. Perfumes. The ancient Egyptians loved strong perfumes. The most popular perfume was called kapet. It was expensive because it had a lot of ingredients, some of which were difficult to find. But it also had a few common herbs in it, like rosemary and mint, and spices like cardamom and cinnamon. Cheaper perfumes were made from flowers, herbs, and some types of minerals, then mixed with oil to make a cream. Or they pressed the dry ingredients into a cone shape to make incense. In ancient Egyptian paintings you can often see men and women wearing these perfume cones on their heads at festivals. Toothpaste. To clean their teeth. Ancient Egyptians used a type of toothbrush, a stick with small pieces of papyrus tied to it at one end. The ingredients of their toothpaste were a mint, rock salt, pepper, and dried iris flowers. They put this dry powder directly onto their teeth and rubbed it with their toothbrushes. Breath mints. To keep their mouths fresh all day. The ancient Egyptians made mint candies. They mixed cinnamon, melon, pine seeds, and some nuts together with honey. Then they heated the mixture over a fire, left it to cool, and cut it into small square candies.
So we can see that ancient Egyptians created amazing products like perfume, toothpaste, and breath mints, and they used all the ingredients were from nature. All the ingredients were from herbs and spices. Okay. We have here a stick. Cones. These are cones. Powder. Cardamom, which is kind of spices. Cinnamon. Cinnamon is kind of spices also. We call it Arabic قرفة. Cream. Put the words in the box in the correct column of the table. Can you add any other words for countable and uncountable nouns? We have here lemon. It's of course countable. Melons, orange. Herbs like what? Like rosemary and mint. They use some herbs. Herbs means أعشاب. Spices like pepper, cinnamon, salt. Minerals like calcium, sodium, and copper. Now we will talk about what? We will talk about ingredients, method, preparation time. This is how to make something. The recipe for making a salt dough.
Look at the picture of the boy making a salt dough model. What would you make with salt dough? Salt dough recipe. 1. Preparation time. 10 minutes plus 3 hours for cooking. 2. Ingredients. 1 cup of plain flour, about 250 grams, 1/2 a cup of salt, about 125 grams, 1/2 a cup of water, about 125 milliliters. 3. Method. 1. Heat the oven on a low temperature. 2. Mix the flour and salt in a large bowl. Add a little water, then a little more, and stir the mixture until it starts to form a ball. 3. Put the ball of dough on a flat surface and work it into the shape you want. You can roll it flat and cut out shapes, numbers, or letters, or use the dough to make 3D objects. 4. Put your finished items on a baking tray and bake in the oven for 3 hours until it is hard. 5. Leave the items to cool, then paint them.
Okay, so this is a recipe to make a salt dough. Dough means عجينة. When you have this salt dough, we have the recipe. The recipe have 3 main parts: the ingredients, the method, and the preparation time. Preparation time by minutes or hours. Ingredients, what do we need? 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of salt, 2 cups of water, and so on. We have the method. The method here, when we use method or telling you the recipe for something, the method for a recipe, we use the infinitive form of the verb. We say heat the oven. We don't say he or she or he. We start by the verb in the infinitive form. Heat the oven. Mix the flour and salt. Put the bowl of the dough in the oven, okay, and so on. Put your finished items. Leave the items. So here all the instructions started with what? Started with the verb in the infinitive. When you write a recipe, you should start with the method by giving an instruction or writing the recipe by the verb in the infinitive form. Imperative sentences. What is imperative sentences? We use imperative sentences to give orders. When I say keep quiet, finish your homework, tidy up your room, turn off your mobile phone, stop feeding the ducks at the pond, to make a request, help me please, please join us for breakfast, would you mind helping me with the question? Have to give advice also. You can give an instruction, so we use the imperative to give orders, to make a request, to give instructions. Walk around the room, turn the level clockwise, reheat, put. To give advice, when I say drive careful, take a taxi, wear your coat, it's raining. So these are examples for the imperative sentence. The imperative sentence, we start by the verb in the infinitive form. We don't have subject in the sentence. Now we are going to listen again about the Egyptians and all ancient Egyptians flavors.
What do we use spices for? Egyptian flavors. Egypt is famous for its spices that are used in home cooking and restaurants all across the country. Special combinations of different spices are a secret ingredient in many recipes. But what else can we make with spices besides delicious dishes? We can also use them to make perfume and medicine and to color cloth. They also make great souvenirs and are beautifully packaged for tourists visiting spice stores and shops.
Now we are going to listen about what? We listen about Egyptians' flavors. They were famous for using spices. We have famous for restaurants. Combination means groups of something, مجموعات. Separate. Recipe. We said the recipe is the method to do something. Souvenirs. Souvenirs, which is presents we brought from some places we visit. This is اللي بنقول عليها in Arabic هدايا تذكارية.
What do we use?
Okay, now we are going to go back for the grammar part. How much or how many? How much, we said that it's used for uncountable. How many for the countable nouns. How much or how many students are in your class? How many? Can I have a little or a few sugar, please? A little, because sugar is uncountable. Annie has computer games. A lot of computer games. How much or many time do we have left? How much time? Because time is uncountable. We count only hours and minutes. We need a few or a little lemons for the recipe. We need a few lemons. I like milk in my tea. I like a lot of milk. Why we can't add a few? Because a few is used with the countable noun, with the plural noun. And milk is what? Milk is a liquid. It's uncountable noun. This was our unit for today. Best wishes. دي النهارده كانت last unit بتاعنا unit 6 وإن شاء الله هنلاقي على المنصة بتاعتنا كل اللينكس لكل اليونتس وجود luck ونشوفكم الترم التاني إن شاء الله. See you in the second term. Goodbye. Mrs. إيمان عبداللطيف. السلام عليكم.